Blake gonna come out? Or is he good?
I think we're on.
Light's not on, I just want to make sure that.
We're good? We're on.
Okay. Terrific. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the City of Monona Planning Commission, Monday, February 12th, 2024. You obviously have roll call?
Yes.
You good?
Yes, thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from January 8th?
Move approval.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. I have a second. Any changes, corrections, additions? Chris?
On page 4, the paragraph that starts with Mr. Chapman, the next line down, Homburg said that the sign is likely non-conforming for height because the foundation is settled. Well, that's not exactly right. If we can insert the grade around the foundation has settled, that would be accurate. I didn't insinuate that the foundation's moved, but just that the grade around the foundation settled.
Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes carry. I'm going to suggest stick with the same order of business since all appear to be relatively a light lift. Do we have anyone here to make an appearance that is not on the agenda this evening? I have nobody in the room, and I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand on screen, so we'll close the appearances and move to, there is no unfinished business. So we'll move to new business, number 7A, public hearing for Frank Gutman, represented by Olson Brothers Building LLC, on a request for consideration of a certified survey map, CSM, to consolidate 2 lots for the purpose of constructing a new single-family residence at 906 Progressive Lane. Case number 2-002-2024. Someone here to present during the public hearing portion of this?
Yes.
Great, terrific. You have the floor, sir. If you could identify yourself and where you're from, and then we'll listen during this public hearing portion.
Okay, I'm Jeremy Olson with Olson Brothers Building. I'm here to request a zoning change for 906 Progressive Lane to show that it's clearly one lot for the purpose of constructing a new home, taking down the one that's there that has a bad foundation.
Okay.
We're going to make it clearly show that it's one lot with a CSM.
Okay. Terrific. Is there anyone else here on this particular public hearing that we have? Okay. Seeing no other of those that would like to speak during the public hearing, we'll close the public hearing section and move to 7B, pre-hearing conference for Frank Gutman, represented by Olson Brothers Building LLC, on the request for consideration of a certified survey map, CSM, to consolidate 2 lots for the purpose of constructing a new single-family residence at 906 Progressive Lane, case number 2-002-2024. Doug?
Thank you. So as mentioned here, the application is for a proposed certified survey map, CSM, to consolidate 2 lots into one at 906 Progressive Lane. This is for portions of 2 lots into one, allowing the applicant, as mentioned, to demolish the current structure, build a new single-family home. With the removal of the existing structure, it does lose its grandfathered status, and the new construction must comply with city standards. And as shown, any construction will need to comply with setback standards for the portions of both Lot 104 and Lot 105. This did go through Public Works Committee. A recommendation is required, and just given timing of those of the meetings, that did go through last week at the February 7th meeting, where approval was recommended to City Council. In terms of details, the parcels are parts of lots 104 and 105 of the vertical terrace plat, and do not appear to be previously subdivided. I did include the access to street requirement, which was, of course, updated in early 2023. The updated language is included here in the staff report, 32 feet in width for the street, face-to-face, with a public right-of-way at least 60 feet in width, and the CSM shows progressive lane having a 60-foot right-of-way, and with city GIS mapping, the road appears to be 32 feet in width. The lots are zoned single-family. I included the dimensional requirements there for new lots within that zoning district. The total lot area, as proposed, would be just under, it would be 9,600 square feet, and just under the lot frontage at 69.95, with a requirement of 17. Typically, the commission has been comfortable with the small exceptions, of course, when it's in an existing condition as well, which is the case here. One point of note as well is there is a 5-foot utility easement benefiting MG&E on the southern side of the lot, closest to Farmers Park. So there's no action requested at this meeting, but all being well, this will return on February 26th for consideration. Thank you.
Can you explain, because I know we discussed this in Public Works,
Yes.
a little bit more about this particular neighborhood and all of these lines, to be it's applicable to
Yes.
what you're saying about.
Yeah, I think it's important. I've had a couple questions from neighbors regarding this and sort of the notices that have gone out as well. You can see in the material packet here that there's a dotted line effectively running north-south through the lot. You have one side is 30 feet, eastern portion of lot 105, and then lot 104 you have the western 40 feet. It's actually my understanding that this side of the street, when it was originally platted, was seven parcels, and now there's only 6. And so there's sort of a remainder that goes throughout these. You can see on the certified survey map, each of them is a little different. Some of them it's as small as narrow as 10 feet, 10 and then 60 feet, whereas this one is 30 and 40. So to sort of simplify this, the request is really to remove the dotted line running north-south through the lot. The exterior boundaries of the lot would not be changing. This is not sort of becoming a double or anything like that. The sort of dimensions would remain the same, and sort of the underlying surveying would be cleaned up as well. And so I know we've had a few of these requests. I did speak with the city attorney sort of about best practice and things like that, and process as well. And this was recommended as still the best path forward. I think there's still some discussion internally about maybe refining this, sort of pushing meetings together a little bit and sort of seeing if we can't streamline that a little bit. But from sort of a best practice, the certified survey map is still the best way to achieve this.
Thank you. With that, I will open it up to the commission for questions, comments. And Chris, I'm seeing a puzzled look on your face, so why don't you go first?
I'm not puzzled. I have no issue with this.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. But I'm puzzled on how this land was conveyed before. It was clearly conveyed as a lot somehow. Is there a plat of survey over it, or how did they convey it? Because you haven't been able to build over a property line for a long, long time. How was it conveyed to this current owner?
So maybe the applicant.
Do you know,
can answer
Jeremy?
It's my understanding that at some point, all of the lots were scooted down, and they just never cleaned up the survey. They never took that dotted line down the middle of every single lot on that street. They just went ahead and built. So every house on that street has a property line right through the middle, essentially through the middle of their house.
That's so
Just like that other
And
issue
even
that we had.
survey, it's a faded line, and there's no real, it doesn't say what it is. Nothing came up in a real estate report. There was nothing that came up that there's any issue with it. That it needs a clean CSM to not be called lot 104 and 105, or what the case may be, but just be called now, I believe, lot 1, or what it may end up.
I was just curious, because normally you would at least have a plat of survey to combine parts of two lots. It wouldn't be a CSM, but a plat of survey could do it legally, and it would be a legal lot.
Isn't this the same, similar situation to the Walls property that we
Yeah.
had a couple months ago?
Yeah, but that was
Yeah.
so old. I mean, that was back 100 years. This isn't that old.
Ah,
And again,
1957, I think.
Yeah,
eh,
that's
it's older than you think, no. Doesn't seem that way.
I was alive.
Easy, yeah. easy
Well, no, I do the
like
same
that.
thing. I'm like, oh, that's only, oh, shoot, it's 40 years ago. Yes.
I was just curious. I have no issue with it. It's clean, and a CSM is the cleanest way to do it. If you're in a hurry sometime, a plat, a survey would do it, and it wouldn't have to be approved by the city. But to have a CSM for the, a very clean way to have a lot in the future, when somebody's looking up, it'll be recorded at the Register of Deeds.
Well, and to that point, and this echoes previous applications as well, some of the back and forth with the city attorney has sort of been that there are ways to do it to sell the lot and sort of for the real estate search, title search and things, whereas for the underlying conditions, CSM is the way to go, but certainly to sell it, there are ways to do it sort of in a simpler way, but that was sort of the opinion we were working off of these.
I'm glad they're doing the CSM. It's cleaner, but legally they could do a plat survey for a single lot like that.
That was my understanding in talking to my surveyor. But again, going with the city attorney, the cleaner way was the CSM, and I'm all for them doing that. They're gonna build a brand new house. They should have a clean CSM, which we would get done during the process that the house was getting built anyway. But my understanding, we can't even take the old house down without the new CSM.
Okay.
Anything else? Corey, do you want to go next?
Sure, I have no problems with this.
Okay. Susan?
Same thing, no problems. I think the square footage and the 69.9, that's all fine too, and we can just put that in a finding of fact. And keeping the utility easement, that should be an issue, so, no, yeah, absolutely makes sense to do it.
John?
No comment.
No comments. Yeah? Nothing to add. Patrick?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you. Next is 7C, public hearing on the request by Forum Health Partners for approval of a zoning permit for a new use at 606 River Place.
Does the applicant know we're good and we aren't taking action for 2
Yes.
weeks?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I assume, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah.
No, we're, it'll just, okay.
No, I appreciate it. Number 7C, public hearing. I was literally sitting here thinking maybe we should have just taken it out of order, given the reaction to it. But having gone in as a pre-hearing is probably
Yeah, we can't, it's not
Into
notice
it.
for action.
Yep. So number 7C, public hearing on the request by Forum Health Partners for approval of a zoning permit for a new use at 606 River Place, case number 2-003-2024. It's here. Yes.
Can I ask an out-of-order question?
Sure.
Just on this previous one for the CSM, will the council take a first reading then in 1 week? Even
Yes.
without a recommend, so then it doesn't slow them down anymore. So
Right.
if council can get a first reading next week and
Then
we
yeah.
recommend approval in 2 weeks, and in 3 weeks there can be a final approval.
Right.
And
I just think that'd be good information for the applicant.
Yes, and what I have actually suggested we did with, I think the last 2 CSMs is requested 1 read at council
Yes.
to request it be stopped, to
Right.
sort of flip that.
This is just such a simple issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So we have a public hearing on this request by Forum Health Partners. Is anyone here to speak to the Forum Health Partners approval of a zoning permit?
Susie is.
Hi, yes, this is Susie. I'm the regional manager for Forum Health Medicine.
Hi, Susie, welcome. Would you like to
Hello.
say anything about this request? This is your opportunity to share more about this request.
Well, Forum Health is a healthcare facility focused mostly on functional medicine. We provide some modalities as well. We include an IV center in that facility. I was just asked to come and represent in case I needed just to talk a little bit more about the clinic. I'm not too sure about the zoning or any permits that we're inquiring right now, so I'm not sure if I have a builder representative here on the line too.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak on this during this public hearing of Forum Health Partners? Okay. Seeing
Guess
none.
it's just me.
Sorry, it's just you, yeah. So,
Yeah.
seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing on this request and move to 7D, consideration of action on the request by Forum Health Partners for approval of a zoning permit for a new use at 606 River Place, case number 2-003-2024. Doug?
Yes, the request here, the zoning permit application, as mentioned and listed in the materials, a new functional medicine healthcare facility proposed to be located at 606 River Place. The space has been vacant for more than 6 months, necessitating the Plan Commission review. It was subdivided in 2018 for tenant occupancy and has since been vacant. This portion of space is just over 2,500 square feet, 2,521, and makes use of 147 parking stalls on the site, shared amongst multiple retail and commercial buildings there. The property is located within the CDD, the Community Design District, and the comprehensive plan, current and future land use identifies this as commercial in use. As far as the parking, medical, dental, and optical clinics shall provide 1 parking stall for every 300 square feet of gross floor area. With the 2,500 square feet, it would necessitate 9 parking stalls. As listed in the application materials, there will be 3 healthcare providers and 4 support staff members on site at any time, and each provider averaging about 10 patients per day. It looks as if this use is going to be complementary to the adjacent tenants, and there shouldn't be any parking challenges. Just during site visits, there's ample parking available. And just one point to note maybe is that a number of businesses have allocated stalls within the parking lot, and that may be something just to ask if the applicant is looking to take advantage of that as well. As far as building modifications, minimal internal improvements just to help delineate the space, provide treatment rooms, and a floor plan is included in the materials. No changes proposed to the landscaping, and it looked to be in good condition last week. Certainly at this time of year, it was in good shape. No changes proposed. Hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, closed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we do have a signage application, but there is a comprehensive sign plan already for the building. So that's something staff will be able to consider administratively. There's no deviation from the CSP that's proposed. So no comment from department heads when this was shared, and staff recommendation is for approval.
Okay. Thank you. I will start at this end. Patrick?
I mean, there's adequate parking. It comports with the underlying zoning. I have no issues with it whatsoever.
Looks like a fine addition. I don't have anything.
John?
No comments.
Susan?
No concerns, looks fine to me.
Chris?
No concerns. I think it's a fine use. I love that they keep bringing more people into Monona. One recommendation for the other people that are going to be here tonight, it's not really a virtual meeting when you don't turn your camera on, then it turns into more of a phone in, so it'd be nice if you turn the camera on when we're speaking. Thanks.
Thank you. Corey?
No comment.
Okay,
Looks good.
great. So I'm willing here to entertain a motion. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Move to approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second?
I assume that's with as written.
Yeah, as
Right.
yeah, staff recommendations.
Yeah. And so I have a motion and a second. Any other comments, concerns, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome to Monona. Susie?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That will go to 7E, public hearing on the request by Forgewell Building Group, represented by Sign Art Studio, for approval of a sign permit for a new wall sign at 6801 Southtown Drive, case number #003-2024. Who is here representing for Forgewell? Welcome.
This is Lindsay from Sign Art Studio.
Welcome.
Thank you.
go ahead and present whatever, or share whatever you'd like to share about this request.
Sure. So we are proposing one non-illuminated sign for the building. It will be half-inch acrylic backers with a 1/4-inch flat-cut gold anodized aluminum copy on top of that acrylic. And the overall sign size is 2 foot 11 3/4 inches in height. And the overall length of that sign is 7 foot 5 5/8 inches. And again, this will just be one non-illuminated sign that we are proposing for the building.
Okay. Great. Is there anyone else here that wants to speak on this particular hearing or request? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move to number 7F, consideration of action on the request by Forgewell Building Group represented by Sign Art Studio for approval of a sign permit for new wall sign at 6801 Southtown Drive, case number S-003-2024. Doug?
Thanks. The proposal here, a new non-illuminated wall sign, 21.6 square feet, 6801 Southtown Drive, and it's facing east. The underlying zoning here for this parcel is commercial industrial, and the standards here allow for one wall sign per business on each building facade abutting a public street frontage, and you get 1 square foot per linear foot of facade length. So with a maximum of 150 square feet. This is the only sign that will be on the eastern side of the building, and the northern side does have some Veridian signage, but the cumulative total for all of these would still comply with standards. So with that, staff recommendation is for approval.
Thank you. Corey, do you want to start on this one?
Sure. I don't have any concerns about it. I think it's a really nice looking sign as well. So I think this is fine.
Okay.
No concerns.
Okay, great. So I'll go to the sign guru, Susan, next. Susan?
I think it's a nice looking sign, no problems, I think it looks fine.
Okay, great. Chris?
Question, is there intention then to leave the Veridian signage on the pylon sign?
That has not been brought up to us yet, so I would assume that it is remaining because they've not requested us to remove it or inquired on that. So I would assume that it is staying.
Okay, all right, thanks. For those that don't realize that Forgewell is Dave Jones Plumbing and Veridian have merged into a new company, Forgewell. They still have the division. So Forgewell is Veridian Homes and Dave Jones Plumbing, and Greg Jones is the head of that organization. So that's why it makes a lot of sense to have the Forgewell here.
Sure.
I was just curious if they'll be using that name or if they'll just, it's just, my guess is it's just identification so they know what door to come in when they're coming for that group. And I think the sign is very tasteful, well done. It's certainly not overdone on that side of the building. I have no issues with the signage. I was just curious what was happening with the rest of the signage on the site. But that site is definitely not oversigned, so this is...
So does that mean, just to go back to the merger, does that mean that Dave Jones is not going to still have its own, or are they both
sure.
having their own separate?
They have them, you have a CEO. Well,
Yep.
It's not my business to say what it is, but the day-to-day operations is Greg Jones, and
Yep.
and David oversees everything.
Right, but
So
so
Ford-
Dave Jones is still going to retain its name?
Yes, and Veridian will retain their
Veridian's still
name, but they
retaining its name,
but they
and then
merged
there's
into
the-
Forgewell.
Got it. Got it.
So there's an umbrella company.
Got it. Thank you. John, did you have anything?
I had a question out of curiosity. Just how are the letters attached to the building? It doesn't quite say anywhere.
Those will be stud mounted. I think they called it out as pin mounted. So essentially the same thing. They're studs that'll be mounted to the back of the letters, and we'll drill into the building and then push the studs into the building.
Thanks.
So mechanically fastened, essentially.
Thank you. No, looks good.
Rob?
No, I think it looks good. Nothing to add.
Looks great.
Okay, great. With that, I'd be happy to entertain a motion. Anybody want to make a motion?
Move approval with recommended conditions as written by staff.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Patrick. Do I have any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is approved. Lindsay, thank you for coming.
And as well, we really appreciate that.
Thanks.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to move to 7G, which is public hearing on the request by Madison Pediatric Dental and Orthodontics, represented by Alpha Gradix Middleton, for approval of a new wall sign and monument sign at 220 West Broadway, case number S-004-2024. Who is here representing Madison Pediatric?
Me, Bill Downs from Alpha Graphics.
Great, terrific. Welcome, Bill. What would you like
Hello.
what would you like to say about this sign request?
It's pretty straightforward. We are asking for a variance to make it a little bit larger than what is allowed due to a couple factors in the letter there. Oops, sorry, it's muted there.
Since our public may not read through all the materials, do you want to just highlight those factors?
Yep. The details of what we're asking for.
Yeah, I mean, you said that you're asking for a larger sign due to several factors. I just, rather than
Yes.
assuming our public will read through.
The building was designed with a radius soffit that spans kind of facing Broadway and back to, I think it's River Place. It was designed to be on there. They obviously have a very long name to begin with, and also a pretty decent setback from the West Broadway. Those are the main factors.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to share, or is there anyone else on the screen that is here regarding this, for this public hearing portion that wants to speak? Okay. That being the case, we'll close the public hearing. And we will move to H, consideration of action on the request by Madison Pediatric Dental and Orthodontics, represented by Alpha Gradix Middleton, for approval of a new wall sign and monument sign at 220 West Broadway, case number S-004-2024.
Thank you. So we have the signage request here for, I'm just going to call them MPDO, at 220 West Broadway. Two elements, the wall sign with the full name and logo at 138 square feet, LED illuminated channel letters, and then a landscape ground sign, 60 square feet in total, 4.5 feet tall, LED illuminated cabinet sign facing east and west. And that proposal is to remain in the same location as the existing Rutabaga sign that is still in place and within construction fencing that they have up there. So the property at 220 West Broadway is zoned Community Design District, CDD, and for the wall signs, they're allowed 1 square foot per building of building's facade length, with a total sign area limit of 150 square feet. Of note here, as mentioned in the applicant's letter, they are seeking a variance and an exception for that signage. The facade length is about 115 feet, and so they're looking at about just over 20 square feet of additional signage. The request here is made given the setback predominantly from West Broadway, but also the way the curved architectural element is from both West Broadway and River Place. The request is to exceed that, in addition, of course, to the length of the name of the business. And just from a scaling and things like that, the information was put in that request from the applicant. The landscape ground sign typically are allowed up to 60 square feet of area, 5 feet of height, and 15 feet back from the curb, all of which the proposed sign will adhere to. And we do have the original approvals for that ground sign from the Plan Commission from December 1992. One thing to note here is that the face for the ground sign is pretty similar to the couple businesses nearby to here as well, is that they'd be looking to have one large, just under 36 square foot panel for MPDO with their logo, as well as 2 smaller panels for future tenants within that building. That is a discussion that I've had with ownership about that, just in terms of the sort of future direction of the building. I think the plan here is to have a couple complementary tenants on the second floor, which, if you remember from the zoning permit, was sort of planned as future expansion space for the dental office. So I have shared that, you know, zoning permits would be needed, but generally we would expect the cabinet to sort of be, you know, of a similar design, similar style, colors, things like that. So they're aware of that for the signage element here. On-site directional signage is not proposed at this point. That was conditioned as part of the zoning permit from 2022. Would there be a no exit sign at the northern entrance just to help with traffic flow circulation in the site? The recommendation as part of the suggested conditions would be that be handled administratively if it aligns with city standards. Just one other element to sort of call out as well is that there is a deviation here from sort of the approved architectural renderings. There was previously a movie theater style marquee sign on the front facade. I did talk to the architect about this. It's getting a little out of the scope of this, but I think it's useful context just to share with the commission that that theme is still remaining throughout the building. They'll still have the lighting, they'll still have a lot of those design cues within the building. But the choice was made to go with this wall sign rather than the marquee sign. So I recognize from the signage application it's different than maybe what was conceived with the renderings as part of the zoning permit. But just for reference, a lot of that is still remaining within the building. A lot of that, those elements. So just information to have about the larger building. So with that, the recommendation is to discuss the exception request, and if the commission deems it appropriate, then there are recommended approval with finding of fact and conditions as listed in the staff report. Thanks.
Thank you. I was actually going to ask about that because I remember this commission being very enthused about the marquee. Particularly all of the commission members that have kids and take their kids there and know it to the connection to having movies and everything else going on. So I was actually going to ask about that. So it's just really an architectural decision.
Yes.
Since that approval. Okay. With that, I'll turn to the commission. Chris, do you want to start this one?
Sure. As far as the marquee, I thought it was very attractive, and I think this is almost a substantive change to the architecture of the building that should have probably been discussed. But when I look at what's left with the building, I asked myself, would we approve this building? Yeah, we would have. Yeah. We undoubtedly would have, so at that point it becomes moot. But I sure like the old one better. I guess a couple comments I'll have. And I think for readability, I mean, I like blue. My logo on our company is blue, but for readability, a blue sign like that far away, that's certainly the owner's choice, but it's not real readable, especially when it's lit up at night. Those are hard letters to read. If you remember, we've had some of those in the past, and people have gone back and changed them out. So I would just caution, make sure the owners know that that color will be much more difficult to see at night. And then on the landscape ground sign, staff has a condition on there for the glare, but for the sign manufacturer, we're particular about that. We used to have some with white backgrounds on Monona Drive that were very, very bright, and we require some opacity there where you tone it down a little bit, especially with LED lights now. They're very bright, and that's really close to Broadway. So what that condition says is if we deem it's too bright, you got to tone it down. So I would recommend you look at that, maybe tone it down just a hair before you put it up. We don't want to make it so it's not readable or you don't see it, but we don't want a really bright, glaring white background shining on the highway. Well, it's not a highway. Well, it's still a highway, still a county highway, yes. And so I think that would be well to take under advisement when you finish the sign. Other than that, I have no issue. I think the signage as proposed fits the building well, at least on that signage band that they have. So I don't have any issue with that. And I guess I do have one more comment, Doug. When you talk about finishing out, I mean, the no exit sign was a condition of approval. That's not really wavering. We asked for it for a condition of approval. And when you say meets city standards, typically we like to see them put in a regular traffic standard sign, something that we would put in. So it'd be a higher no exit sign that you'd see that we would put up and readable, because it looks a lot more official. If you put down a little one with their logo with "Don't Exit Here," people ignore that a lot of times. It might be nice, but typically, we like to see something that looks like a traffic legal sign so that people just don't try to come out that way. And the reason we'd ask for that is because it's so close to the intersection. We had done that before with Rutabaga too. So when you're looking at the sign, I guess my suggestion would be, probably be better to have a traffic signage there than site signage, as we call it.
Thank you.
Okay, Susan?
I think those are good comments, and I like the look of it. I think it is appropriate for the building. It looks similar to the back of their current building that faces the Beltline. It's sort of similar signage. I remember that. And they can certainly think about the color, but yeah, I think it looks great. It's a nice looking building. It seems appropriate.
John?
I agree with the comments that have been made. I would just add that I think unfortunately, I think the movie experience, probably especially for children, is diminishing greatly. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Right. Rob?
I think it looks good. I think the expanded sign makes sense to scale the building. So I have no issues.
Okay.
No issues beyond what's already been mentioned. I think it looks fine.
Okay. Corey?
No further comments. I agree with the others.
Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move approval with finding of fact and conditions of approval as written by staff, unless Chris has an amendment. Okay, I saw you starting to write it. Okay, anyway.
Thank you. I have a motion from Susan.
Second.
Do I have a second from Patrick? Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Bill. With that, we'll move to number 8.
Thank you.
Yep. With that, I'll move to number 8. Staff report regarding the status of development projects.
Thank you. Got a couple updates just to share. You've probably seen some more activity around the city. So the BESA project, 6501 Bridge Road, they have their footings and foundation permits, and certainly excavation has started probably within the last week. So you'll certainly see that being a lot more active now. And just waiting on the state plan approvals, and then we'll be able to look at permits for issuing to go vertical from there. But they've got enough to be working on at this point, and we're expecting those any day. So good progress there. The North Point project, the first townhome building, so closest to the private drive, has made good progress. Windows are in now, roofing is on, and they're looking that they could potentially have occupancy this summer potentially for that. With the rest of the building, with the rest of the site obligated to be finished by the end of the year. So they're moving well, making good progress there. Certainly with the certificate of occupancy, we'd be looking for sort of how the site is operating. It'll still be a construction site, so we'd want to work with them on that, and we've already made mention of that, but it's good to see some, really it's coming together. I think now you can begin to see that doing well. And demolition of the Bloom site on Monona Drive, site clearance is underway. Working with the applicants in terms of the civil plans and sort of getting everything completed. A lot of work with the city attorney on that, just kind of the easements, the sort of parking agreements and things. So elements there to be completed, but civil's looking good, and I think we'll be getting close there as well. So that they, just from a timing perspective, are looking to start construction this spring. So a little while there yet, but still time to get things completed. Pet Supplies Plus is looking to open. They'll be doing a NESBA ribbon cutting on February 29th, late afternoon, February 29th, and formal opening on March 1st. So a lot of activity over there. The sort of the frontage, the facade is completed now, and they'll be putting up, the wall sign is still missing on the north side, but it's up on the south side. So some good progress over there as well. As far as upcoming Plan Commission items, we'll certainly have the CSM, the next meeting. We'll be try and get one or two items if we can sort of brought forward as well, just to fill out the agenda a little bit more as well there. But I would expect another pretty short meeting. Nothing else to report at this point on DEI efforts, but I do have a sustainability update from the MPDO building that we just discussed. I'm not sure if it's fully confirmed at this point, but I've heard discussions that they are looking at putting solar on top of the building. So a good development there as well. So I know they had already planned for the building to be solar ready to be able to take those. So they're certainly exploring that, and once I have firm details, I'll be able to share those with what sort of capacity and what amount they'll be looking at there. But that's really it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Would you happen to know if the Compass, when they did the demolition, if they utilized recycling with any of the materials that came out? Because I know it's something we talked about as a commission, encourage them to do.
I would have to check into that. I'll
Okay.
speak to the contractor and specifically the subs and see.
Okay.
It was not something that was mentioned, but I know oftentimes these are almost best practices now that are just being taken up, so I'll certainly look to follow up.
And then also I noticed, since I go out Dean a lot, I noticed that for some reason the concrete steps are still there.
Yeah,
Of all
I
the
saw
things
that
that
too.
they've removed, they've left the steps. I'm just wondering if you know.
I don't know the story.
You know the story behind that. Okay. Did you notice
I
that?
did
too?
notice it. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty
Yeah.
odd.
It just seemed kind
I
of.
just figured there was a reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they wanted to keep their boots less muddy. That's we're in early mud season right now.
I think their feet are on the fire to get the buildings down.
Yeah.
And so I
Probably,
think their
Getting rid
their
of the cement.
focus was on the buildings, and
Yeah.
that's just site concrete. Maybe they didn't have a hammer or something
Right.
there yet to break it up with.
Yeah. Yeah. Then no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, great. Any plan commission requests for information from city staff? Nothing. Holy cow. Well, with that, I will, just as a friendly reminder to everybody, we have a primary here in Monona, February 20th. We have 7 people, including 3 incumbents that are running for city council this time around. And for the general election, it can only be 6. So there's a primary on February 20th to vote for one of the 7 to fall off the ballot for the April election.
Actually, just for the purpose of clarity, that means people can vote for 3.
3.
And
yes.
that's all.
Correct.
3. People can't vote for 6, which is
Correct.
going to be.
Sorry, thank you.
That's-
Yes, I appreciate the adding the clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, yeah, no, you don't vote for 6, you vote for 3. But the lowest vote getter will be the only one that is removed from the ballot. So I encourage people, as always, to vote. And I can't think of anything else that's happening. Well, actually, Dane County event on Thursday night at Fratelli's.
That's sustainability?
Yeah.
Sustained Dane, yes.
Yeah, Sustained Dane is they're kind of doing a rotation through communities, inviting other communities in to learn more about what each of the communities are doing as it relates to sustainability. So there's a whole agenda where there'll be a number of us speaking about what Monona is doing around sustainability or has done around sustainability. I specifically have been tasked with, what we're doing here at Plan and also what's going on with transit and its contribution to our sustainability goals as chair of both the Transit and Plan Commission. But there'll be, as I said, there's about 7 or 8 people presenting all together, and that's at Fratelli's on Thursday. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks very much.
Thank you.